Okay, so my project for roster overhaul is now complete. This is obviously with new classes. It's also been released, like the Artist, the Soul Eater, Slayer, Aeromancer. Those were the classes that literally did not get on release. I'll talk about like just in general the existing classes that we had on releases, the released ones, and just like a general class talk, I guess. But yeah, ever since I came back to this game, I feel like it's for good this time since the Soul Eater release. I pushed my Aeromancer. She was literally sitting at 14-15 item level with just a relic gear sitting because at the time I just could not have bothered with this game. The Slayer at the time when released, unappealing. Aeromancer, unappealing. But Soul Eater, on the other hand, it just feels like a whole different, honestly, like just appeal in general. And so I'll go over my main six, as well as my old roster that I kind of had as my gold earning roster at the time, and I invested them as well really well. But when I obviously had to sell their organs, so I'll probably go over like kind of the background first for me, like as in how I started all of this journey to begin with. So in terms of like the backstory, from I originally started in Trixie in Europe Central in early access, which was very good. Obviously, at very times the servers were fine until the game officially launched for everyone as free to play, and that's literally where everything went downhill for the region, where the queues were literally up to hours long on some servers. That even Amazon released some additional servers to make up for such a massive load of the amount of players were trying to log in at the time. And even if you still bypass those queues, even if you waited or just ran in place in some case until I think we just fixed that, it's still the matchmaking was buggy. It just felt like you were playing the game on some sort of delay or something. So it was just it was unbearable basically. And so I think a week down the line, or maybe 2 weeks, and Amazon released like a new server, or it's a new 7-server region called Europe West. So I literally decided to pack my bags and just decided to re-roll to Moonkeep server to escape the issues that Central was having. On top of that, like with the Central and issues and the server that I originally re-rolled to, the Trixon server, it was literally just a civil war server to begin with between the French and the other European nationalities who spoke English, so that everyone could understand each other except the French, because I guess they're just stubborn. Because apparently Trixon was unofficial, like a French-picked server by like the community. Honestly, since this was my first MMO, this was my first kind of like experience with this sort of thing. So I had no idea that we pick and choose like what communities goes where. But I picked Trixon because it was I thought the name was nice, so I went with that one. But yeah, so literally civil war because we couldn't speak their mother tongue or comfortable language, and that was the thing. Also, the class I chose for leveling was a Shadow Hunter. In the end, initially it looked cool, the whole transformation thing, but it did not stick. I did not enjoy the class at all, and wanted a Death Blade to go with. So basically, 3 reasons, in honestly, like the arrogant French or the stubborn ones, the server region issues, and the class. I mean, did I regret rerolling initially? No. Long term, sort of, because of the whole obviously population thing and whatnot, but in the end, literally, it doesn't matter now what you think. It's because we are together anyways, regardless. Also, I have spent over around 4,500 approximately hours at the moment in the game. I dropped the game in total 3 times. The first one being just in general, just burnout and boredom, because literally there's just no new content for like end game players. You literally, it does become, as much as you do enjoy the gameplay of Lost Ark, it's literally one of the best in terms of MMO aspects. It still becomes to the point where it's too repetitive. You're just doing the same thing over and over, and you're just hoarding gold at that point, and it just hits you that there's nothing new. The burnout is inevitable. You get bored, and you just quit. The second time I came back was for the Elgatia patch. Obviously, that's when came the Kangol raid as well. So I was looking forward to that one because it was fairly major kind of patch. So I've done raid the Kangol multiple times. Obviously, I had to do normal because I didn't have the funds or the resources to really level myself up to 1580. And then I got bored again, so I dropped it. And the third reason I dropped the game was just the toxicity you get in the raids itself. So, and I thought I just needed a break. So it was not, just toxic nature, I guess, of the game. And now, since Soul Eater class release, it feels like I'm back for good, trying to play the game and catch up to the end sort of like gamers where they sitting at. To my surprise, a lot of people are actually just bing chilling at 1620, just no life in it through. Which is, it's considering how fast we get, or now that I'm kind of like gonna say backtrack to what I said, that there's no end content, but it's just, because for our current patch in the Western Lost Ark, the end game current one is the 1620, which unlocks you the hard ivory tower, proposed legendary elixirs. So I'm probably gonna go over like kind of like my older roster that I've had. This is literally the like the Deathblade, the Sorceress, the Gunlancer, the Gunslinger. We were all during the time where it was Brelshaza, Relic. She was dropped. Like these characters are during that era. Not now, where we literally get from normal the whole ancient, because to avoid confusion, I don't know how that would anyone get confused by that. It's literally like it's a complete new set of gear that uses completely different materials. I don't know how you can possibly confuse them, but how could no one confuse ancient Brel over with Akan ancient? It's like that, so I don't know like what we're smoking over there at the offices, but okay. So I'll probably go over with the Gunslinger. We'll ignore the Shadowhunter Glavier. I don't think I really raided with them because we're just sitting at 1460. Gunslinger, I feel like the class was it was one of those classes that you really was. I feel like the amount of skill that's needed to pull off a good slinger is way too much. Like you need to literally play the class like you're high on cocaine or something, because of the sheer amount of skill that you need. The skill requires a high skill gap, and for the amount of that you put into the class in terms of skill, you get little in return in terms of, like, let's say, like damage wise. This class should be to the moon when it comes to when it comes to in damage, what you put into effort in terms of playing it, because of how much effort is needed. I mean, the whole animation log, how squishy the class is, how much investment you need in terms of gems. I think she eats a lot of damage gems, and probably more specifically Peacemaker, but also the Peacemaker itself. You just need to constantly keep swapping 3 weapons between the sniper, the shotgun, and the pistol to really maximize the potential of the gunslinger. And I feel like this class literally, so the issue just stems from literally from the effort required. You can put blood, sweat, and tears into your rotation, into your 12 skill rotation, in order to just only be gapped by like a 3 skill master summoner. And like, is that worth it? No, it's just, it's not. So Gunlancer, I think I went with the combat readiness variant. I think very new player friendly variant for sure. Decided to just bench him because the class literally has identity issues. I mean, this is MMO, and this is supposedly like a tank class that we have in the game. Literally, I guess the combat readiness does tank. It can tank. I mean, it literally has permanent super armor, push immunity. You just press Z, you tank everything, and you deal damage in return. But that damage is literally negligible. So like I don't think the class knows what the hell it even it belongs to. I don't even know what it does. I mean, is it a stagger bot? Is it a synergy bot? It does Z DPS, and it's just like, I don't know. It's an interesting one. I mean, I know the Low Knight probably does more in terms of damage. You see more of the crit numbers because it runs like what is it, 70% crit, or is it 60 to swiftness? And so you see those big yellow numbers, which front attacking as well. So, but again, the class has issues. It's literally like a confused child that doesn't know what the hell it is. It's like that. So combat readiness, very chill. You literally tank mechanics and you'll be fine. Especially if you run. I mean, no one runs. I think it's literally a node, a level 1 class engraving that mostly run. Otherwise, I think you're just griefing. But well, what do I know? Sorcerers don't know much about reflux, either build, swiftness, or crit. Only know about the igniter one because that's the one I chose to. It's the build igniter just revolves around this pulling off his second Doomsday kind of build, where you have to run. Either you have to time it with level 7 or 8, level 8 cooldown gems. You can time it with second one, but you literally it's less kind of stressful if you just put it on like a level 9 or level 10, and then you can just shoot the Doomsday and then instantly press your Z, which is like the enhancement ability. I forgot now what it's called. So that's how long I played the class. But just in general, the class, I feel like just too stressful to play, in my opinion. You need a lot of like raid awareness, like the patterns from like the bosses to really pull the class off. Probably a terrible class for prog. I know the class itself has a lot of issues. I think I'm seeing a lot of less orcs in cities as well. I think a lot of people probably just main swap by now already. Initially, when the game launched, there was 3 classes that you would always mostly see. Was probably definitely a sorceress to begin with, Berserker, and maybe Deathblade, and all other classes just scattered around equally. Now it's just, you don't see that as many other than maybe they're just mains, and maybe probably gods at the class as well. It's probably because everyone just swapped to the classes because the issues that it has. I mean, it's slow, it has no mobility, it has utility issues, I believe, as well, and I don't think the upcoming balance patches are gonna do any justice to that either. So, but yeah, from what I've seen, the class for me is too stressful to play really, because you can pull off, you know, you want to go burst mode and all of a sudden the boss phases and goes like DR mode, and there goes your, you know, burst and your whole damage. And from what I've seen others play, I swear to God, like every time I pump into someone's like a stream or a clip or someone with like commentary, they always cursing over Igniter sorcerers, because the boss constantly moves, he always phases, and we cannot burst there, so they always mad, they always angry, and this class is just it's just built like that. I don't know. Okay, Deathblade, I went with the remaining energy from the start of the game, and I stuck to it until I dropped it for the Soul Eater. I think Soul Eater just absolutely gapped her, I think, in my opinion, in terms of the just the class in general, the aesthetics of it, and yeah, just the specs alone. Soul Eater is just way more fun to me in terms of when it comes to Assassins ones, at least. But still, I think absolutely God tier, S tier class. The synergy alone in a Deathblade, you can take away both of the specs out of the classic remaining energy and surge. I mean, my God, the spin cutter, that's the synergy skill. You can go up to 3 times. You literally can go just behind the boss with those 3 in rotation. Dark Axle, absolutely amazing mobility skill. It's one of the best ever. Maelstrom as well, like it's just the class alone, the kit that she has in her is insane. Just that those skills alone just put her already God tier. And not talking about like when we include Surge, which is just this spec that's 1 gem reliant. I mean, all you really need is just a slap like a 10 gem, because it's only 1 gem reliant on most of your damage, and you deal insane damage. But the problem stems from is that you have to rely on it to crit. If you don't crit, you just see small PP numbers, and that's you just become sad. So that's the issue. You have to rely on crit, or maybe have like a crit synergy, because it's a spec-based class. And yeah, the remaining energy, I feel like is just a more fun spec in my opinion. I literally started the game through all the beginning, all the balances, and every time there was a balance releasing for Deathblade for balance patches, remaining energy, every time I've seen had a buff. Every single time there was always a buff for the class, until recently. I think they literally overtuned it so much, it became so overpowered that we had to nerf it. So I don't know how these people literally balance the game like that, where we overtune it to become until the point it becomes so overpowered. But initially, I don't know how many times in a row we got a buff, like a small one. I think every time was a small one until it just became just too big of a buff that we had to nerf it. So honestly, I think whoever's balancing this game, I don't think they're doing a very good job, to be honest. I think they should look into like what's going on behind the scenes. I don't really know. But yeah, I think remaining energy just overall I think is more fun than the Surge. I think Surge is just seems just too boring, and just relying on that one skill is just copying overdose really. Okay, so the new roster, probably gonna go over them for now. Paladin is, I'm gonna put it on Slayer, because she, when I click on her, she just spreads her legs and it looks, yeah. So Paladin, I built him because support, first of all, always desired, obviously. in groups. You can skip gate 0, obviously. Also have a cards, which is nice quality of life to begin with, and just a swiftness based class. So I obviously have all of the 3 supports. I mean, I literally can just do like a mini guide here in this alone as to which is like the go-to and which ones maybe to skip, because we definitely have their differences for sure, and it's definitely a lot to say. So Paladin, I went with Paladin because, I mean, look at the skin. It just looks so majestic, and it reminds me like it can be in areas from like the Diablo, and I thought, yeah, it looks really sick. So Paladin, I went with also the concept of the Paladin itself. You have a whole holiness and light kind of skill set, and you know, the concept and whatnot, and it just in general just very sick. So probably a class I would recommend, like if you're making like if you want to make like one support, or you want to have like be like a support main and you're trying to choose like between the 3, I definitely could give a bit of advice. I think Paladin would be my second choice for sure. The reason as to why, the class is very easy to play, so it's very new player friendly for sure. It's just the problem that comes with the Paladin, it is very, very boring to play. Like if you're thinking to main this class, maybe don't do it even as a support main, or even as a ult. Maybe make something else. It's just that I did like a Kangol run, and I stood still for like 90% of the time, because you literally don't have to move. Like the skills that you do, they all have a range, or just a click, and everyone gets the buff that they need. So you literally, most of the time, if you know the raid patterns, you don't have to move. And since this class is based off swiftness, you can, if he is coming, the boss is coming after you, you can just run around him. You don't even need to spacebar. It's just that. So why not recommend like a boring classes? Because like if you're planning to play this game like long term, the longer you play this class, it can in the end result into you possibly like even dropping the game. Like if you persistently play like a boring class, because you see like this is not really fun. I'm not having fun. I'm literally just standing still. Why am I even though? So in result, it can lead to eventual downfall of you dropping the game. That's why I wouldn't recommend as much Paladin, really. Yeah. I'll go over to the artist and the bard later, but I'll talk about the Aeromancer now. So this is my latest class to be finished off. I think it's also one of the newer classes that's been released. I think it came out after Artist came out. A specialist class. I think when it comes to tiering or putting a Aeromancer's damage in that tier, I think she did literally get slapped on down the middle, both specs, Wind Fury and Drizzle. I just know that Drizzle has more of the uptime on the Umbrella, and I went for the Wind Fury one because it's swiftness based, and which is probably more fun in general, and the synergy wise as well. I mean, just the shower mode that you go in, which is, I don't think it lasts very long. I think it lasts like 7 or 8 seconds, I think. But the synergy alone is like equivalent, I believe, in like a Maelstrom, basically. Like if the teammates are inside that bubble that you, when you press Z on, they get movements increase and attack speed, which is very nice for those that crave it, obviously. Probably also forgot to mention that all specs and classes that I run are all swiftness as well. I think like when you play the game, you eventually down to the line as to what combat stat is the best. I mean, the main three of the game are obviously the crit, the swiftness, and the spec. And I think the swiftness, I think it's literally just subjective, but in my opinion, this is probably the most fun one. I mean, the movement speed, the skill cooldowns, it's definitely S tier for sure. Just, you know, being able alone to be run around like the battlefield, zooming like you're high on sugar and coffee. It's very good. But in terms of like Aeromancer, I think definitely veteran players probably aware of the Aeromancer's damage potential, but they don't bring her to the party for her damage. They don't do that. Like for those who are very much aware of like the meta of the game and like how class synergy works, they would bring Aeromancer regardless if she's absolutely awful in damage because of the synergy that she provides. She literally has 100% uptime on crit on a boss. That's literally 10%. So if you're a spec class that craves on crit, it's a no-brainer to bring her along with you, alongside that increased movement speed and attack speed. So Aeromancer synergy is definitely God tier, S tier. Probably slightly below Deathblade, but still, nonetheless, still very good in my opinion. Okay, so Slayer went with the Predator build, obviously because that's scales off swiftness. Don't know much about the Punisher. I think it's like a bursty spec, but yeah, I don't know much about it, but just know that Slayer is like one of the like classes that you cannot go wrong with. Like if someone like a new player asks like what class should I go, or and plus spec that I would be so good at from a get-go, really. Like I can just go build and go and deal good damage. A lot of people would say Predator Slayer. I mean, again, swiftness based, and you just running around. She has good mobility as well. I mean, she literally has a dash 2 times, so you can dash spacebar, and you're moving constantly. It just dishes good damage. I mean, it's a good damage. She has a big sword. She has massive personalities, and it's a class definitely you cannot go wrong with, for sure. Initially, when it came out, literally had no interest, but again, new class releases like Soul Eater can bring that motivation back and bring you back into the game, and just like that, you build her all of a sudden from like 1460, 1490 all the way to 1540, and then you keep pushing her. Her dress is clipping. That's not good. But yeah, in terms of anything else, I mean, synergy is meh, but overall, just a very solid damage dealer in my opinion. It's probably one of the best. What am I saying? Okay, so then Soul Eater. Literally the game that brought me back. Originally I went with the Full Moon build, which is the like a bursty one, spec based as well, specialization. Was not really feeling it. I think I gave it a shot maybe like a couple weeks, maybe 1 week. I don't really remember now, but just not feeling it. And so I thought, wait a minute, is there like, can I see like what builds would Night's Edge have? I see like other people running on like Party Finder. See that there's definitely a lot of Night's Edge users for sure. But which one dominates, it's hard to tell. It definitely seems like a split for sure. So I looked at the Night's Edge, and but it was definitely a couple build variants you can do and go full crit. There's like football formation as well, skill sets that you can use. They literally like 4-3-3, 4-2-2. It was literally a football formation right there. And so, wait a minute. There's one build that has some Swift in it. It's like 60 crits, 40% Swift. But I have a look at this. Hallucination, I like that, you know. Non-positional. Swiftness as well, which is my preferred combat stat for sure, because it's just undoubtedly so good. And yeah, just one hallucination 422. Trying to build, obviously, you need I think at least 1,300 to 1,400 crit to 1,000 swiftness, ideally. And that's it. You're being chilling. Night's Edge, definitely very fun. Has, I mean, synergy as well is meh. Mobility, yeah, that's some mobility, but I mean, it's nothing to you really stress about, since it does have highest amounts of swiftness. So, and yeah, just in general, probably more so hard to reach the like kind of the enhanced state on that build that I have compared to like a 3 skill. But basically, like, once the only kind of awful part can be is that once you reach that state, the boss again DRs on, like, with a mechanic happening, and you literally entered that state and it just runs out, and you'd be like, oh, well, that was pointless. So that can be a little bit of a bummer compared to, let's say, like Full Moon. You can always control when you want to pull that off. At Night's Edge, you can also as well, but you always want to, you know, pull your 3 stacks as soon as you can, obviously, for these maximum damage efficiency. But yeah, just in general, the concept of the class is very good. S tier, in my opinion, one of the best so far. I mean, the Scythe wielding character is always going to be badass, in my opinion. So it's going to be definitely a DPS that I will fund the most in terms of probably the gems. She's currently sitting, obviously, 5x3, level 7 event gems, and she's on Express. So until that runs out, I'm going to have to build her. Because ideally you want to reach 1540 before you can build really like your DPS mainly, because of that's when Ancient unlocks and you can build comfortably 5x3 plus 1. So like these two, already done with those. It's all good. It's just that we need that extra level, which is not much you can do. It's time gated at the end of the day. Okay, so the artist, probably, if like anyone's looking for, like I talked about Paladin, probably would be my number 1 pick for like a support alt. Like if you're planning to do one support or main support, it would be artist. I think she has the best support kit, in my opinion. Just the it's just completely 180 over like how Paladin plays. You're always going to be constantly moving. You're always going to be doing skills, shielding, buffing, and all that. You also going to need to do some positionals, but also very good in terms of like push immunity and super armor as well. I think it's the story skill, I believe, and she just pops that bubble and just slashes her. I was gonna say whip, but it's her. I don't even. It's her thingy. But yeah, in terms of her kit, I think with the next. Okay, I'm just gonna talk about this current one. So just in general, like her, like kind of a teleport orb alone is very good. It can save teammates from like tricky situations. Let's say example like King Galgate 3, where there's the sun phase where it happens when L'Oreal does his burning. mech. You can save someone from if they're too far away and they're too slow because they're running a spec class. Haha, spec class is absolutely F tier. You mainly can save from those, or you can do a con. Is a gate 3 available? You can just completely do that purple line and just teleport in, and you just in just seconds you're just done already. You tagged along the purple line, and you can just skip the mechanic real fast like that. And just in general, just once you pick it, when you pick it up, just gives you just a general shield and a meter as well. So that skill alone, that orb is definitely very unique to her. It's very special in her kit, and it's very good. It can save. It can skip mechanics even. It's honestly, it's broken. Fix the game. Just in terms of like anything else, I mean, her counter on her, just in general, her kit is very good. It's fast. Obviously, you need to be fairly close to the boss, but it's still better than Bards for sure. I think Paladin definitely has the best counters. I mean, he probably has 2 of them. The one that's a really long range and one that's just ultra really fast. But Artist is not really that far behind. But I think that Bard being the worst one, if you, with exception if you decide to pull that non-essential faster skill, which is very situational, really. Again, in terms of like much of our prize to the party in terms of synergy, like that underslash that she does under like the synergy for not only it synergizes with the boss, but also just in general increases movement speed, attack speed for the teammates, as well as just Sun Sketch being existent as well. But yeah, it's definitely I think the best support class at the moment, in my opinion. So, and the last one being Bard, my main, probably a B class that will stick out throughout the whole game until it dies out and move on to another project, like another MMO that's gonna get released, or it just shifts to a tier 4 and then just have to pack our bags and move on, I guess. Bard, in my opinion, undoubtedly the best class, I think, in the game. Obviously, party-wise, raid-wise, I mean, I don't think she can clear anything solo, because since she is a support. But when it comes to party composition and raid, she is the best, I think, in my opinion. I mean, when you play a game for that long, for that many hours, up to like thousands of hours, you begin to naturally filter out, you know, what classes you don't like, what classes are awful, what be bad at, and kind of like build a composition based on that, basically. And that's when you come to a conclusion, which classes really fit the bill, really. And in my opinion, is, for me, obviously that opinion is subjective, but still I feel like Bard belongs in its own tier. Well, again, it's in my opinion, but in a tier above everyone else because of just how good she is, the kit that she has, but also at the same time, it is the least support I would recommend literally to anyone. Because of the difficulty that's required, and I think it does also require some raid awareness as well if you were to play it. It is definitely by far the most difficult support to play efficiently. Like, I'm fairly convinced that a good bard and a very good bard, well, I guess doesn't matter. A good bard is you just cannot kill a good bard whatsoever. A good bard will never die. She will always be alive, unless it's like some inevitable death happens or you progging. I mean, that's a different, completely situational. But if you're doing like homework or something, like raiding, a good bard will never die. She'll always be alive, because she probably by that time she knows her kit so well that she has the most insane push immunity, super armor skills that she has. You can literally just skip those telegraphs so easily. I mean, obviously in her just the normal engraving build, she runs heavy armor as well as the artist. I probably forgot to mention that as well, but Paladin usually doesn't run heavy armor because he's already warrior yet, so he has the high defense coefficient, so he typically doesn't run it, so he runs drops of ether instead, which I also forgot to touch on. But I'm not biggest fan of drops of ether either, because it's like this RNG based like kind of buff that drops every 10 seconds, and it can be based on literally any buff. It can be wind, which increases your movement speed. It can be the crit 1, it can be strength 1, it can be MP, defense, and it drops every 10 seconds, and it's literally RNG based. And the buff, a good thing is that it lasts for 30 seconds and it drops every 10 seconds. So if you get the really good rolls for like your offensive DPSs, so they can just go over and pick it up, the uptime is literally 100 to 200%, literally right there. So again, I cannot put like that engraving and really up there, because it's RNG based. It's honestly Paladin, all he needs really is just Blessed Aura, Experts, and Awakening. That's really all he needs, but because we are really moving on to such a gatekeeping meta, that 5x3 seems like it's kind of essential to avoid gatekeeping, in my opinion. I think. I mean, even my Paladin got gatekept numerous times because I didn't have 5x3, I believe. But yeah, but again, like, supports don't run grudge either, so we don't take that increased damage, so we also heal on pots better. But in the end, how can you possibly die? I mean, you can definitely die, even though if you have a high defense coefficient and no grudge running. But yeah, like again, like Bard can even prolong her lifetime for sure if you run like Rice's Evasion. But again, I feel like that's so optional. It's just so non-essential. I feel like, I don't know when it would become a good idea to run it. Maybe been on prog, perhaps, if you die often to like normal patterns, and maybe like, I'm gonna put on a Crisis Evasion. But that's really non-essential, because heavy armor is gonna just keep you alive just fine. So I don't see the need of like supports to have Explosive Expert for that one extra battle item. Or, I mean, artists can do like probably one more build, like Spirit Absorption level 2 with heavy armor level 2, which I thought was completely whack, and like, what the hell even is that? But yeah, throughout playing this whole game, throughout this so many hours, I think I come to, I mean, everyone comes to realization that, to their subjective opinions, I guess, that in my opinion, that Bard is literally the best class. Obviously, from my Deathblade main that I rocked with, I think it's just sheer luck that she was just so good in terms of synergy. Bad luck that every time the remaining energy needed a buff. But eventually, every player that has played the game, they will filter out naturally which classes are bad and good. And that's where we probably just, based on that, will invest further in. Probably didn't mention as to why it would be Bard the least recommended in my opinion. I mean, she is by far definitely the hardest one to play. You need some read awareness for sure. The positionals as well. You always have to be always moving because for shielding your for shielding your teammates. Also as well as the bubble management. So that's when it can become really tricky. Like, do you that's when do you damage buff basically, or do you Z or X? Z is the damage buff and X is the heal. Obviously the most efficient healing is literally one bubble, and you can efficiently heal your team just with that, or you can 1 bubble, 2 bubble, 3 bubble on the damage buff. And I think again, it can be very tricky, but if you like, for example, if you 3 bubble, I think that's like literally 15-second attack buff, and all of a sudden the boss DRs or starts like a mechanic, and that's literally that's it. You know, you buff, and that's those 3 bubbles are gone. You know, and that's literally that can literally sadden you and give you like a depressive moment when that happens. A mech starts, a DR, and that's it. There's not much you can do. So that's when the awareness comes from, when when you want to shoot from that buff, really. So that's why sometimes I feel like more efficiently is just to use maybe 1 bubble or 2 bubble on the Serenade, and you can stack them obviously with Heavenly Tune. Artists can do that as well with the Moonfall and her Sun Sketch. I think Paladin cannot. Or maybe wait a minute, I think you can just do Blessed Aura and just have that uptime as well on his buff. So I guess on all 3 classes it kind of works out. And what else I could have? I mean, I obviously had other classes great as well, like Gleavier, Shadow Hunter as well. That's where we're sitting just for farming Great Honor Leapstones back when we actually had value and you can use them, until it just transitions into Marvelous and then Radiance, and they become now value, and there's no point of raising all of these characters really, in my opinion. So I don't play them anymore. Obviously I also had a Reaper build as well, but yeah, it's just whatever. And I think I'm gonna now just touch up on the new class releases and the impact that we have. I think we have definitely a major impact, because we also get released like with these expresses that literally give you a boost to like for like honing buffs naturally. So just in general, very juice rewards, and I think you can like get your fun out of the express, complete it, and then I think you can just drop the game until the next time it drops for like a new class or like event based. So like for example, like the Soul Eater, the goal is to reach 1580, and maybe like your goal would be, optional goal would be to complete the concept. You know, you can do that, complete that, and then you can just drop the game until like the Breaker class comes out. I guess that's probably going to be the next Express. That's coming in March, so not anytime soon. I think a lot of people would want it sooner, like in February at least, but yeah, that's not happening. So obviously for me personally, it's made a major impact. I mean, I came back to the game to play it, and now to catch up now for my alts, since I did drop the game for a lot of time, actually, a lot of months. I think maybe like 4 months in total, maybe 5. I don't even know. So new classes may make big impact. They make players that drop the game like me and come back, and also like just like the new class imbalance, like just in general. I mean, Soul Eater currently is still, I think, is very broken. I think both builds, I believe. but also like in the KR region, the breaker that came out, I feel like it definitely showcases the, you know, how broken the new classes are. But that's I don't think anyone's really surprised that, oh my god, they released a new class and it's broken. Like, but I think you know, it's logical that it would be broken because the whole premise behind that is to sell the class like it's a brand new shiny Pokemon. But the issue comes from is that the advocates behind the showcases are like these whales with like these unlimited budget that can invest like day one and bring them to high end game, like literally, which is in KR would be the hard Feyman, so like 1630. Some can even do these like these Esther weapons which cost tons of money. Like the normal player base is never gonna deal these, you know, never gonna reach these eye levels D1 and dish out this damage print screenshot unless they are Veils themselves, which is it's just like what 0.2% probably of their player base. So it's just that's where the issue comes from. Like these Veils, they just fully invest full level 10 gems day one. They haul all the card sets. Obviously, that's probably comes naturally just from playing the game. The whole engraving is 9/7 stone, cut already, and they just these high eye levels already punching. You know, I mean the concept itself, like the breaker. I think that there's two builds that come with it, like the Hitmaster and the one that's. I think it's Master Ball, so basically just in front of a boss. So the only two classes that really do that is the Destroyer and Lone Knight Gun Lancer. So there's, I guess they just kind of have another buddy besides them, which is nice. I think we definitely needed like a class like that for a long time, and so it's finally here. It's been revealed also in our roadmap as well in March. But yeah, I think the content creator themselves, you know, I think they make a big impact, you know, to sell, like also the class itself. It's almost like, it feels like we get sponsored by the Smallgate themselves too for like these showcases in terms of like the damage. But you know, the whole premise is, you know, obviously to sell the class to the consumer audience, and it makes sense until, you know, the hype goes down and it gets nerfed, and then that's it. That's, you know, it's over. But yeah, I think I am done for now. I think I already yapped everything I wanted to yap about, and yeah, that's yeah. Very nice.